Lately, I've really got into making espresso-based drinks, but there are some downsides. You need a bunch of equipment, like a grinder and the espresso machine itself, and you need a bit of, well, technique or skill, the tamping, the milk frothing, and so forth. Wouldn't it be great if there was just one machine that did it all, and the only skill that you needed was to press a button? So this is a fully automated espresso coffee machine, and before we get into what's all in there and all the features and stuff, let's make a coffee. That's all there is to it, literally the press of a button. Look at this, you've got the crema. Smells good. Honestly, that's a very decent cup of espresso. Yeah, that's really not bad. Not bad at all. So how does it do it? What's involved? Well, on this side here, we have a water compartment. Nice thing about this is you just put the water in, it takes what water it needs inside the system and heats it up super fast. So the espresso machine that I'm using, the manual one, you have to turn it on and give it like at least 20 minutes notice to warm the system up. This thing is ready 10 seconds, something like that. Then at the top here, this is where we put the coffee beans. There's just an area here where we can just dump beans in like so. If you want to use ground beans and you don't want to use the inbuilt grinder, that is an option too. You would just put them in here, but I mean, why would you? Use fresh beans, it'll grind them for you. And then there's the grind setting as well. So you can grind pretty fine down to 1 through to a little coarser. And they recommend that the lighter the cut of the beans, the lower you set this grind setting. Now at the bottom here, we've got the drip tray. This just pulls out. If you're wondering what happens to the pucks of the coffee grinds, well, they go in here in this drip tray. Just right in here. It's a very tidy solution. And then along the front screen here, we've got an LED screen. We can get into the settings from here, including things like the water hardness, the temperature that you want to brew at, and so forth. Then along the sides here, we have all the drinks that it'll make. So espresso or a long coffee, I guess that's a long black. And they also have milk-based drinks along this side, cappuccinos and lattes. Let's do this again, and this time customize things a little bit. First thing we're going to do is we're going to actually pull this down. This adjusts to the height of your cup so we don't get too much splashing. Then we're going to press espresso again. So that's it for 3 beans, that's strong. So we can set it to strong, medium or mild. I'm going with strong. Once the grinding's finished, it'll then say the volume. I'm going to change the volume to 35 milliliters. There we have it, another great looking espresso, this time 35 milliliters. And now for all the milk-based stuff, that's where this tubing comes into play. This tubing wants to sit in some milk. Got some whole milk here. That's it. And this will just suck up the amount of milk it needs and do all of the steaming and the frothing. So, let's put a new glass under here and say latte. We'll have 30 seconds of milk steaming, and it's just pulling it straight out of this jug now into whatever magic it's doing in here, coming out as frothed hot milk. Grinding the beans, and will you look at that? I'm going to give this a stir. That certainly looks the part. The milk itself, actually the texture's pretty nice. Yeah, that's good. That's actually really pretty good. Now my favorite espresso coffee drink is cappuccino. Got my cappuccino mug here. Let's see if it can match the ones that I've been making manually. Well, obviously with these things we're not going to win any awards for latte art, but nor am I. Let's give this one a stir as well. Well, again, the milk is nicely textured, which is a real surprise to me because when I foam milk, it takes a lot longer than this thing's doing it. The espresso comes through nicely as well, and you know, in a cappuccino, maybe you can get away with not making the perfect espresso because it's kind of covered up with the milk a bit, as long as the The milk steaming is good, and I am getting that nice sweetness from the whole fat milk. Just complements the coffee so well. This is absolutely delicious, my goodness. And then when you go to turn it off, it will just do a self-clean as well. I have to be honest here, I didn't want to like this a whole lot. What I wanted to conclude here was that this was convenient and it made an okay cup of coffee, but it just was no substitute for my manual methods. And I think that is true to an extent. I think there's a lot more levers you can kind of pull when you're doing this manually to really dial in to your own flavors and tastes. And you can just improve the presentation a little bit, like with the milk frothing here. It's pretty basic. It's not quite as good as if you were frothing it yourself, and then you can really separate the milk froth itself from just the hot steamed milk. But that said, the end product of this is actually very good. And as I say, my favorite drink is a cappuccino. And this is a really good one.